Hello, everyone. Let me pin my video for you guys. Hello. I'm here a little bit early because I'm getting my space set up, and I thought you guys might want to share that time. I know some of you arrive early to set your space. So I'm lighting my incense. Isn't this space cool? I'm at one of my friend's houses, and she has a really beautiful, like, industrial loft space. All right, so I've got a little bit of our Kama Sutra incense lit. I am ashing that into our beautiful little shell. I also have our Aphrodite spray with me today. And one of the reasons that I wanted to get on early, not on the computer, is I am actually going to pull a Rebecca Campbell card for all of us for the practice today. I've already pulled an individual one for me. So for those of you, I know most of you who are in this ritual offering and who receive the boxes have been working with divination tools for quite a bit. So you know how to pull a card for yourself. But just in case there's anybody here checking this out who is newer, one of my favorite aspects of working with cards is to tap off the energy if it's coming from the factory or if it's someone else's deck and you're reading for yourself to tap off the cards to get any of the energy off of or out of the deck that's not yours, and then to introduce yourself to each card. So today, since I'm going to be pulling a card for our group, I'm actually going to be not just saying my own name, but I'm going to be telling the cards what group I'm working with. So I'm going to say the Saged app ritual box group active practice and ceremony session. That feels really good. That feels aligned. And so I'll be saying that as I touch each and every card. And typically, when I'm doing this, I'm saying my own first and last name, or maybe my first, middle, and last name, or maybe I'm already going directly into my question or my area of focus if it's my own deck of cards and I don't have to like program it for myself. But because I'm pulling for all of us, I'm going to start to offer that into the cards themselves. So for those of you who are here with me for our ritual session, if you do have your Rose Pocket Oracle deck, I highly recommend taking that out, starting to shuffle that up, connecting with each and every one of those cards with your own intention, with your own name, with your own form of saying hello. And then I'm just going to shuffle those up until we're at the start of our session. And then I'm actually going to pull a card for our Divine Feminine practice tonight for all of us. So when I am pulling a card for a practice, I'm setting the intention and asking the question and becoming available for the message around what do we as a collective benefit most from including in our practice? What from the divine feminine herself, from the Sophia consciousness, from the goddess, does she desire for us to hear, to know, to speak out loud, to include in our practice? So that is the question. That is the focus. That is how I am allowing the message to come through. And is how I am framing the message so that I can receive the best and most potent information from the cards. So I would love to hear from you guys if you're going to pull a card for tonight's Divine Feminine practice. What is your question? What will you be asking the cards? What information will you be receiving when you flip that card over and then read from the booklet? So we are setting the intention for my card pull to be supportive information for what to include in our ceremony tonight. What does the divine feminine desire to share with us? What could be really beneficial for each and every one of us in our practice tonight? Brothers of the Rose, sacred masculine, protection, support. Beautiful. All right. So after I pull a card, I will look at the card itself, tap into what is written and what is pictured on the card itself. Brothers of the Rose. So I asked the question of like, what would most benefit us as a collective to bring into the practice? And what I am receiving is that bringing the sacred masculine, bringing in protection, and bringing in support would be most beneficial for our group for this practice. So now I'm going to look up where in the booklet it talks about this. And in addition to what I have seen, what stands out in the card itself for me, from the pictures, from the words, I always start there. What stands out to me? Then I will go in and actually read what's provided. Brothers of the Rose, sacred masculine, protection, support. This is a card of sacred masculine. Like the feminine, the sacred masculine exists within each one of us, and together we are all being called to balance both energies within us, the sun and the moon, solar and lunar, which we just had our full moon session yesterday. If you guys didn't have a chance to join me in that, I highly recommend that session. It was really potent and very powerful around calling your power back in and creating the spaciousness and capacity to house and hold that power within. For those of you who are just joining us, I pulled a card for the collective practice this evening, which is Brothers of the Rose. So we are leaning into and learning around how we're going to bring in sacred masculine protection and support, which is a really cool card to pull in our divine feminine focused practice. Because if we are focused in the area of the divine feminine, if we're spraying the Aphrodite spray, if we are enjoying the sacred essence of the divine feminine, what would most benefit us in our practice is that sacred protection and containment. It is the balance of the masculine container that allows the feminine to access her most primal, her most chaotic, her most fluid, her most intuitive, her most aligned. And so it is beautiful that when I did the card pull for us as a community for this practice this evening, that I received Brothers of the Rose. So this card could be a sign that you're being called to work on the sacred masculine energy within you that's maturing and rising. It could be that you're being called to work on ancestral healing of the paternal line. It could be an indication that you're being called to invoke or acknowledge the sacred masculine in those around you. Or it could represent the sacred masculine appearing in your life. The sacred masculine exists within all of us. The brothers of the rose are encircling you so that you can do your sacred work, so that you can be a part of the return of the goddess on this earth. The rose is their emblem, and they wear it proudly on their hearts. The soul inquiry provided. How are you being called to work with the sacred masculine? And that for me encapsulates why that card would be pulled for all of us. In what way, as we are working in the depth of the sacred feminine, in the fruitful divine nature of the goddess in the body, would we be called to bring in the masculine? Because to access our most feminine selves, it requires the spaciousness and the ability for us to fully surrender into the feminine. And I don't know about you, but it has never been easy for me to surrender fully into my feminine when I am not safe, when I am not contained, when I'm not held, when I'm not supported, when I am not seen. And so bringing in the divine masculine is as important in our divine feminine practices as the beauty of the intention of the means with which our feminine can flourish. And so I hear that and I receive that beautifully from our Rose Pocket Oracle deck, the card that I pulled for us as a container, us as a practice to bring the divine masculine in. We will start with the containment of the masculine so that the masculine can hold the beauty, the masculine can hold the smoke, and the masculine can hold the oil, and the masculine can hold the herbs and the crystals and the potency and the magic and the chaotic power of our feminine. That to be grounded in that masculine protection, that masculine structure and containment, that we are then capable of going in all of the directions, in any of the directions, in the multitude of directions for the divine feminine. Sometimes that direction can be extremely primal and loud and visceral and very full of movement. And other times that can be delicate and demure and extremely internal. Other times it can be in an extreme direction in one way, in another way, and sometimes we might jump between all of them. So I ask that you pool together your materials. If you have not already and deeply desire to pull a card for yourself, now that we have the focal point for us as a containment, us as a group, I do highly encourage you to pull one of the cards for yourself, following if you are desiring some inspiration in how you work with your divination tools, if you already have a practice following your practice. But the steps that we took this evening when I pulled a card, knocking off the entire deck, clearing the energy from the factory or for anyone else using that, introducing yourself individually, or for me, us as a collective, to the card deck, to each individual card. Then focusing on the question, the availability, the space with which you would love some information, and then selecting. I would also love for any of you who will join me in lighting your Kama Sutra magical series incense sticks. And then I've been setting my incense stick over my shell and have been collecting my ash. I will also be using the shell to collect my oil because I will be dropping a little bit of oil into the shell to place on my third eye. And then to start our practice, I'm going to shake up our Aphrodite spray. I've sprayed it several times in our space already, but I'm going to spritz that. I have dropped a droplet of oil into the shell so that in my practice, I'm able to reach my hand to the shell itself and receive that oil to bring to my third eye in the midst of our practice. I'm going to give you guys just a few more moments to pull your card if you feel called to that, to absorb that information. And when you are ready, closing the eyes down, starting to bring the spine as tall as possible, creating spaciousness for each of your energy centers. We're going to quickly open up our root chakra, drop our grounding cord down to the center of the earth, plug back into the earth, release anything that no longer serves. I'm going to offer 3 ohms and 3 shantis to open our practice as you ground yourself into the Mother Earth. For some of us, we've already accomplished this. For others, continuing on your process of deeply rooting and grounding and connecting to the Mother Earth. Om. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Keeping the eyes closed or closing the eyes down if you have not already. Bringing the palms facing up, hands on the tops of the thighs, signaling to that which you believe in, that which you lift your face to, that which you align with, that which you offer your prayers to and connect with in your oneness, that you are open to receiving. I am open to receiving. And as we plug into the beautiful Mother Earth with our grounding cord, with our ohms, with our shanti, with this openness and this willingness, with the movement of the body and the lengthening of the spine, Let us be received as the divine feminine nature that we are or that we have, regardless of our bodies, the divine feminine nature that we are or that we have, being received by the divine masculine. Considering what that means, what that looks like, how that feels for you. Providing the structure for your divine feminine, providing the containment for the divine feminine, providing the God or the consort to the divine feminine. Allowing yourself to open up and receive the intuitive hit of the counterpart to where you desire to go, what you desire to achieve, who you get to be, allowing the divine masculine counterpart to make itself known. For some of us, this might be an individual deity, this might be a vibration, this might be a polarity, allowing yourself to release any judgment that you might have on how this may come through, how the specificity will make itself known to you. Allowing the divine masculine to be, to be, to be, to be present, to contain, fortifying the edges. How would you define through what you see, through what you say, through what you taste, through what you smell, through what you hear, through what you know, through what you feel? How would you experience the divine masculine as a container, as the edges, as the boundaries for that which you desire? Hearing it, seeing it, thinking it, saying it, tasting it, smelling it, speaking it, feeling it, knowing it, receiving, receiving, receiving it. Allowing this perspective, this support, this definement of the divine masculine, this representative of the divine masculine, to take its space, to hold, to create the container, the structure, the template, the opening and the closing, the above and the below, the around, feeling the safety and the security created in this masculine offering. And as the sacred scent from our incense wafts, for some of us, if you desire to spray the Aphrodite spray once again, offering to your vibrational space the magic of the divine feminine, the spice, the scent, the taste, the thought, the smell, the sound, the vision, the feeling, the knowing. Allowing this divine feminine self that is housed deep within you to start to stretch, to start to take up more space, to use a louder voice, to expand and to express, allowing your mind and your body and your energy and essence to move through space and time, finding, identifying, re-experiencing the expressions of the divine feminine in your life. The times that you moved your body with such presence, the times that you felt delicious, the sun-kissed moments where nature whispered in your ear, the feminine moments of the maternal instinct, the sacred power of the divine feminine, our ability to completely dismantle and recreate all facets of the divine feminine. Not only calling that in, but opening yourself up for the sacred remembrances accepting, acknowledging, and sinking into the deliciousness that you hold the divinity of the feminine, that you hold the Sophia consciousness, that you hold the magic of creation, the portal within the sacred self. Allowing your focus and your awareness to find this point within your vessel, within the crevices of your mind, the synapse fires of the brain, within your energy field, the layers and the levels of your auric field, finding this point, becoming one with this point, allowing the feminine magic to flow through you as you dance with this point, merging, weaving, allowing the limitations of the mind to fade away, allowing the limitations that we have been told and programmed to believe about our physical bodies to fade away, allowing yourself to experience the expanse and totality of the sacred self, the divine feminine expression that cannot be contained in our limited third dimension, that goes beyond the structures of matter, that goes into the intuitive, into the emotional, into the quantum and plasmic space. And as the divine feminine, as the Shakti, as the Kundalini moves through you, in the softest, in the most subtle to the most grandiose and fully expressive of ways, may you witness the containment that the divine masculine offers each of us in our practice, right here and right now. Not a containment to limit, but a containment to soften and support. At times, the divine masculine lifts, gives us a boost, sends us off in a direction. At other times, it limits so that we do not fall or slip or go beyond. And in others, it receives us and accepts our movement and continues on the pattern, the path, moving through the facets of the divine feminine and acknowledging both the light and the dark, both the birth, the life, the death, and the rebirth of the divine feminine. Sa ta na ma. Sa ta na ma. Sa ta na ma. Life and birth and death and rebirth. Feeling this move through the physical nature of the body, move through the mental nature of the body, and move through the energetic layers and levels of the auric field. That we are forever moving through the facets of both living and dying and being reborn. The becoming, the unbecoming, and the nothingness that sits in between. Feeling into the process of transmutation that the caterpillar goes through, moving from caterpillar to chrysalis to the unbecoming of the goo within the containment into the butterfly. Connecting into your divine feminine self and honoring that wherever you are in this spectrum of experience, in this cycle of experience, is perfect, is divinely feminine, is beautiful. Connecting this cycle of sacred self to your inner cycle, to the moon cycle, to the cycle of the waters within each and every one of us. Feeling the divine feminine nature move through your body, your mind, your energy field. Continuing to take breaths, deepening and expanding your practice as you breathe deeper into the body, further into the body as you breathe slower, bringing in your movement as you stretch and lean, bringing in your sound, releasing with audible sighs and sounds, moving soft and slow and quick, allowing yourself to access the fullness of your divine feminine nature by letting go of the coulds, the shoulds, the supposed tos, letting go of the societal and shameful limitations and witnessing only the containment of the divine masculine. Feeling into the balance of your own divine masculine, holding your divine feminine as you explore and expand. Breathing deeply in, receiving the sense of our incense, of our spray, of the sacred Aphrodite herself, of the divine feminine, the fertility of the soil with which we plant our seeds, the potency and moonbeams from Madre Luna, the divine feminine that rises from the root of each of us, that moves up our center channel, the Shakti, the Kundalini, allowing the sacred self to explore, to feel, to witness the divine feminine flowing through, moving through, experiencing through the body, through the mind, through the energy field. Our divine feminine. We are divine feminine. Accepting the divine feminine nature of self down to a cellular level, down to the genetic expression, the level of the DNA, all the way in between the protons, neutrons, and electrons. Opening yourself up to your most aligned divine feminine expression, the understanding of the divine feminine in balance with the divine masculine, and the containment. Shoo, shoo, shoo. Drawing your energetic awareness to your sacral chakra, to our second chakra, our center of our sensuality, our sexuality, our creativity, the divine feminine, the divine masculine, the containment of the womb space, the divine essence. Breathing into this space. Feeling into, drawing your attention, potentially bringing your hands to this space. And like our rose plate charges up, and our sacred shell contains a bar of beautiful incense smokes. Our spray protects, allowing us to tap in to how everything around us gets to support us in connection with our divine feminine. The oils that we coat our skin in, the clothing that we place upon our bodies, the choices that we make, how we spend our time, how we live our lives, how we speak, what we sing, what we listen to. Every moment that you look at your sacred self and honor the divine feminine nature of who you are versus picking apart the self juxtaposed against the limited beauty standards that are taught to us. And every radical choice of loving the self and knowing the self and experiencing the self as the divine feminine expression, we take back our ability to be in oneness with the self and full expression with the self. In tonight's practice, let us each hold the sacred boundaries, the deep respect that we have for the truth of the divine feminine and the truth of the divine masculine, letting go of the limitations that our current society places on what is masculine and what is feminine. Allowing each of our sacred souls to express to ourselves what our balance, what our personal alignment of divine feminine and divine masculine is, how that expresses through us. Welcoming in the deep understanding that masculine and feminine are present in our world. Witnessing that for the self. Allowing the divine feminine to take up the space that is aligned for her, knowing that you also get to create and conjure and hold the containment of the divine masculine for your own divine feminine. In addition to the bringing together of our divinity with another, we get to be and do and have and practice in and of and for our sacred selves. Feeling deeply into the saturation of the divine feminine within each of your energy centers, from the crown to the ajna, to the throat, to the heart, to the solar plexus, to the sacral, to the root. When you are ready, drawing your grounding cord up from the center of the earth, or continuing to keep it connected if you desire to continue your practice after our practice closes. Coming back into the containment of your own body, feeling the tips of your toes, the tips of your fingers, the top of your head, the bottoms of the lobes of your ears, the tip of your nose, the tip of your tongue, the edge of the shoulders, the elbows, the hips, the knees, the ankles, coming back into your sacred body temple. And when you are ready, joining me with open eyes in full presence. Thank you so much to each and every one of you present in this practice. May the divine feminine reawaken within the self. May you continue to create space for the divine feminine to take up within your body, within your mind, and within your energy field. I highly recommend, if you did not pull a card at the beginning of our session, to connect with your deck now and pull a card. I also highly recommend time for reflection, time for journaling, time for voice noting. Now would also be a great time to use your all over body oil from head to toe, being present with each physical part of your body, listening to the messages, or to continue to work with your spray. Once again, setting the intention and listening, really listening and being with the sacred self and the messages that are given to you. Cindy, thank you so much. I'm so glad you made it as well. I look forward to hearing from each and every one of you. Please feel free to tag me in Telegram or tag me in Instagram. I would love to see your little setup. I'm gonna have to take a little pic of my beautiful little gold leaf that I have all of my items in today. Thank you for joining me for this practice. Those of you who did not get a chance to join me live for last night's full moon session, I also highly recommend you listen to the replay of that while we are still in the wake of the full moon, because oof, the calling our power back was really powerful, was really potent. And I will see all of you at our next ritual session and our next full moon session. Good night, everybody.